Thanks for joining us. On Tuesday, schools closed. Frostbite warnings were issued and car batteries wouldn't cooperate. The coldest weather of the season arrived early Tuesday, with temperatures dropping to a low of -20 overnight. The extreme cold caused local school districts to close schools. Robbinsdale and Osseo area schools opted for e-learning days on Tuesday, while Wayzata and Hennepin schools closed altogether. Meanwhile, firefighters in Brooklyn Park had to battle a house fire in extreme cold. Fire crews were called to a home around 11:30 at night Sunday when the temperature was 9 degrees below zero. When firefighters arrived, the back of the home was fully engulfed. Crews from 7 fire departments worked for about 30 minutes to get the flames under control. Investigators say none of the residents sustained any injuries, but 3 firefighters received minor injuries and were treated at the scene.
Some of the challenges you have, right, it's cold. And so your hands get cold, your feet get cold. It's tough to move hand lines around. It gets icy, right? So slips, trips, and falls are a concern for everybody. And you're just not as efficient as you normally are.
The cause of the fire remains under investigation, but the fire marshal has ruled out arson. Customers and employees at a Brooklyn Park fast food restaurant had quite the scare Monday night after numerous shots were fired at the business. Police responded shortly before 10 p.m. Monday to Wingstop north of 610. A customer posted this video of the aftermath of the shooting. You can see the broken glass. Police say the business was struck 15 to 20 times. One person had to be taken to the hospital for a non-life-threatening injury. Witnesses tell police the shooting came from a vehicle. The investigation into the incident continues. A 17-year-old boy is listed in critical condition following a shooting Sunday. Police arrived in a residential neighborhood in the 8400 block of 84th Court North, where they found a teen with multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. He was rushed to the hospital. Upon further investigation, police say the shooting was the result of a marijuana sale arranged through Snapchat. As we went to air Tuesday, no arrests had been made. Rank-and-file officers in the Plymouth Police Department say they've lost confidence in their chief. However, city officials and the city council are standing behind his leadership. Eric Fadden has been chief in Plymouth for 4 years. The department's patrol officer and sergeant unions recently approved a vote of no confidence in Fadden's leadership. In a letter to the city, they said officers are undervalued, suffering from a department culture in turmoil and low morale. They sent a list of 10 issues with Fadden. In that list, they said Fadden is absent, has failed to recruit officers, and created a culture of mistrust. In a public statement, city officials supported Fadden, saying he's brought mutual respect, teamwork, and excellence in day-to-day work. They also offered unwavering support for the police department, officers, and its leadership. The Brooklyn Center City Council has repealed its code of conduct policy just 1 month after it was approved.
I'm not opposed to having a code of conduct. I just don't like that document.
The code of conduct laid out expectations for council members while inside and outside the chambers. It included a process for investigating complaints and censuring members. It was repealed in a 3-2 vote. Mayor April Graves and Councilmember Tanisha Cragnis voted to keep the code in place. A code of conduct for the city's commissions is still in consideration, but it's not clear if it'll move forward.
I also agree. I don't think it's fair to say that we need a code of conduct for our commissioners, but we don't need a code of conduct for the council. We want to hold them accountable, but we don't want anyone to hold us accountable.
New council member Lori Moore, as well as Dan Jerzak and Chris Lawrence Anderson, voted to repeal the code. Thanks to volunteers, Maple Grove Hospital is bringing extra warmth to newborns. As Sarah Allen reports, the hospital makes sure something else special comes home with parents when they leave the maternity ward.
On average, 14 babies are delivered a day at Maple Grove Hospital.
It's an uplifting space.
Each come with one-of-a-kind looks and families who anxiously await their arrival.
It's just really fun to get to see those families and congratulate moms and talk to excited grandparents in the lobby. And we've got some just, different stripes and patterns.
Not only are all loved.
This is one of our knitters, one of our male knitters, Will. He specifically makes these Minnesota Viking hats with the horns on them.
All receive a special gift.
There is so much passion in Maple Grove as a community.
Ever since the hospital opened its doors 15 years ago, parents have received a hand-knitted hat for their bundle of joy.
It's just such a special part of the whole experience here in the Family Birth Center.
Maple Grove Hospital partners with a group called Knitting Grandmas and Friends.
We work very closely with this group. We supply the yarn for the group.
The group of about 60 volunteers gathers at the Maple Grove Community Center to turn yarn into keepsakes.
I would say average for our knitters is 3 or 4 hats a week, but there are more prolific knitters that will crank out like 10 of them in a week.
And just like the babies, every hat is different and special.
We have Norwegian patterns and cable knit. We have seasonal designs. So right now a lot of Valentine's Day designs are coming into our office.
It's super special.
More than 66,000 hats have been knitted for newborns.
Literally, we put it on her and it is a perfect fit.
Today, Kira Marie was a recipient of one.
Full disclosure, chose her hat based on the outfit that she's wearing today.
Kira's parents, Christina and Colin Parrish, say the gesture means a lot.
You don't get just a standard hat. Every hat is different.
It's something they will cherish forever.
Yes, it really means a lot to us.
In Maple Grove, Sarah Allen, CCX News.
The Knitting Grandmas and Friends group are a talented bunch. Some have even won blue ribbons at the Minnesota State Fair for their handiwork.
Osseo has had some good boys basketball teams over the years. This week, they will honor 2 Oriole squads that won state titles. Jay Wilcox has more.
It'll bring back some good memories. Friday night when they host Maple Grove, the Osseo boys basketball program will recognize members of their 2 state championship squads, 2001 and 2012.
We are going to honor our 2 state championship teams. We're calling it a night of champions. And the plan is to get both teams back here. We're going to have a little buffet before the game with our 2001 team and their families and parents. Game will start at 7 at halftime. We'll then honor both those teams at halftime.
The 2001 team's title wasn't a surprise, although it didn't come easy. The Orioles were rated #1 all season, and their only loss was to national power Oak Hill of Virginia. But they survived big tests in the section final against Chris Humphreys and Hopkins. And in the state semifinals, rallying past Joe Maurer and red-hot Cretin-Durham Hall before thumping Rick Rickard and Duluth East in the championship. The 2012 team won a 3-overtime thriller over Hopkins in the semifinals before beating Lakeville North on Ian Tyson's buzzer beater in the championship. Coach Tim Tyson says much of those squads should be in attendance Friday.
Our 2001 team will most likely have 14 out of the 18 people in attendance, maybe 15. Our 2012 team, we have more than half, I think close to 12 out of the 18.
Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
The high school girls hockey season is winding down with only 2 weeks remaining in the regular season. Maple Grove and Edina faced off in a big-time late-season matchup. Ches Moots has the highlights.
Maple Grove and Edina both in the top 10 in the latest Class 2A state rankings. First period, Camille Dubuc, while falling down, gets a shot off. It goes 5-hole. Hornets started fast and went up 2-0 after 1. The tide turned in the second period. Crimson on a 5-on-3 power play. The puck in a scrum just barely crosses the red line. Goal for Kate Fisher. Maple Grove on the board. 5 minutes left in the second. How about this goal from Addison Doherty up top and barred down. Great shot. Crimson tied the game up at 2. Just a minute and a half later, Abby Oakland picks the puck up at the blue line, takes it herself all the way down the rink. Contested, off balance, didn't matter. Goal for the senior. Crimson up 3-2. Each team scored one more time in the second, so MG up 1 in the third, but Dubuc scores her second of the game to tie the game up at 4. Then with 2 minutes left to play, Brenda Prelwitz turn and shoot. It goes in. Edina scored an empty netter late and wins a great game 6-4. In Maple Grove, Chaz Moots, CCX Sports.
It is certainly plenty cold enough to go ice fishing in Minnesota this week. Terry Tuma has some tips on catching crappies in the winter in this CCX fishing tip.
I recently been asked what are the 3 best approaches to catch crappies in the wintertime. We're talking ice fishing, of course, and one is going to be the sort of the standard is a tungsten jig tipped with either live bait like waxworms or wigglers, and then 2 plastic. These plastics, which this is a new plastic by Clam, but it needs to be, shall we say, tough, sort of a subtle movement and choosing the right color. So that's another big factor. Then 2, using jigging spoons. Again, here you can tip these with with waxworms or crappie minnows. And 2, when you're talking about crappie minnows, when we're fishing crappies, we don't want to just use crappie minnows. Small shiners can work very well, and so can fathead. So here again, we have to do some experimentation. Then from there, we'll just jump to a bobber system. And a bobber system, again, is very, very productive. This is sort of a stationary setup, but here again, 2 bobber system for a second hole application or for a tough bite. So we got a lot of choices here, and make sure that you plan these out, which you're going to use throughout the given day before you even step on the ice. Have a great day ice fishing.
Find more prep sports games and highlights at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.